Hello and welcome to the part 4 of building the application. In this part of the video, we are going to create 2 button widgets for our application window. So this is the design sketch for the application we are building. So far, we have done everything on here apart from the convert button and the clear button. So these are the 2 widget buttons we are going to create in this video. The first button we are going to create is going to be the convert button. That's the button that will do the conversion. You can see on line number 22 here, I've added a comment to illustrate what it is I'm going to do. So I'm just going to tab down and then I will add the line of code that will create the convert button. On line number 23, I've added a line of code here. So I've created a variable here called button converted amount, and I've set it to equals to a button. So this variable here is going to be equals to a button. And inside the button here, I've got some properties I'm adding to the button. I'm going to add the window variable, which is from line number 5. So a lot of the properties here, you should be familiar with them by now because we've used them before. The text basically here is it's going to give a label. That's the label that will display the text that will display on the button. It's going to say convert. And I've got some font property here. I'm giving it Helvetica font. This is the size of the font. This is the boldness. I'm giving the button a background color of blue. I'm giving it a foreground color of white. That means the button background color is going to be blue. The text is going to be white. And then notice here, I've got this command. So when the button is clicked, this is the command that will get activated. So the command here is set to equals to self.converted amount. Now this here is going to be a function that I will create later in a subsequent video that will be triggered anytime the button is clicked. So I've not created the function yet. So if we click on the button now, it will not work because this function is not yet available to use. Also notice here I've added a grid. I'm adding the button to the grid. So notice that the last row on the grid we had was row number 3, which on line number 20. So now I'm going to give this button row number 4 on the grid. And I want it to also maintain column number 2 on the grid. I'm going to apply a sticky argument to position it to the east. The next button I'm going to add is the button that will clear all the inputs. On line number 24, I've added a variable here called bt delete underscore all, and I've set that to equals to a button. So this variable here is going to be treated as a button, similar to the button variable on line number 23. Again, the text that will appear on this button is going to be clear. I've given it a font property just like the other button. I've given it a foreground color of white. The command here, this command is important. This is the command that will call the function when this button called clear is going to be clicked on. So anytime you click on the clear button, it will call this function called self.delete underscore all. Delete underscore all is basically going to be the name of the function. I have not created it yet. I'm going to create it in a subsequent video, but this self basically enables you to reference the instance of that function. Again, I'm going to attach this to the grid. The position on the grid, I want the 2 buttons to be on the same level on the grid inside the application window. So I'm going to give it a row of 4, which is the same row as the other button. The column position, I'm going to make it 6, and I've added a property here called pad x. I'm giving it a value of 25, and paddy, I'm giving it a value of 25. The pad X and paddy, basically they are used to add padding around the button so as to create spaces between the two buttons so that they are not joined together. And I'm applying the sticky argument to position that to the east. Indentation is very important in Python. You can see here how the code is indented. You can see from the import from where the class is, so you can tell that all these here come under the class and all these here come under this method here called underscore init underscore self. The final thing I'm going to do in this video is just to create the main loop. This is what is going to run the application program. The program will not work at the moment because I've not finished like the buttons at the moment, although I've created the buttons, but I've not created the functions that will execute when the buttons are clicked. So if I try to attempt to run the application now, it will error. So let's add the main loop, which is going to be the window variable dot main loop. So this is what runs the application. But if we try to run it now, we will get an error because we have specified things that we have not added yet to this Python file. So in the next video, we will create the two functions, one called converted amount for this button called BT converted amount, and also for this button called clear. We're going to create a function called delete underscore all. So we'll do that in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.